There we go. There we go. Hi, everybody. Nice to see you. Dean, same shirt I was wearing yesterday, wearing it today. You know why? I'm busy. Busy people wear the same shirt 2 days in a row. It's okay. Sometimes we wear the same jeans like 5 days in a row. Doesn't matter to me. If it matters to you, then you can't watch this podcast. Anyway, welcome to the program. Great to see you. Great to start the week out. I brought in some ringers today. Please welcome back to the show from the Linz Report. My friend and yours, Mr. Ryan Lindley, at Ryan Lindley. He's doing the finger guns too.
Hell yeah.
That's a sweet move, huh? The old finger
right?
guns.
Finger guns. I'm just
never
glad
wanted
you're
to
wearing.
be at this stage of my life where I was doing finger guns in the middle of the show. Hey, how you doing? Nice finger guns. Anyway,
Thanks for wearing a
you.
shirt. How about that?
Yeah,
I won't judge you for wearing it 2 days in a row, but I will thank you for actually putting one on today.
You don't want to see me without one on. That's a problem for everybody. Like when I get into the shower prior to doing so, just want to let you know, I don't have a look. I don't look at myself. I look away. It's like this. Look away. Don't look at yourself when you naked, Dean. Whatever you do. It's not good for you. It's not good for anybody else. Yeah, I'll never be a model, naked model for anything, just so you know.
Yeah.
It's just me. I haven't taken my shirt off in like 40 years. I'm not going to take it off on the middle of the show.
Yeah, I wasn't questioning if you were or were not a model.
Thank you.
Really, it never crossed my mind.
Well, I appreciate it. Anyway, glad you're here.
Yeah, me too.
We had a hell of a weekend, didn't we? Crazy snowstorm.
You had a hell of a time.
Yeah, I'll get to that later.
Good.
What a weekend. What a Friday night. What a Saturday to dig out. And what a time to bring on my favorite weather guy.
Oh, yeah.
And I got a favorite weather guy. I got two of them. Farnell and this gentleman who is the best weather follow on Twitter. Please welcome Storm Chaser, reporter for the Weather Network, Mr. Mark Robinson, ladies and gentlemen. You got tobogganing hair and everything this morning. You look great.
Oh my God. It's been a long couple of days. Spent a good chunk of the day chasing the storm yesterday, and then this morning digging out everything. So I literally have not even had a shower. So you're lucky you're getting me with a shirt on. So
hey, you know what? Tarps off. Do you guys want to do a tarps off show? All of us, we can just peel it, right? I mean, outside it's terrible. It's awful. It's like this weekend, I saw a lot of terrible weather when I lived out west. And you being a storm chaser, I'm sure you've seen a lot of terrible weather. And I want to get to what weather guy
we call it awesome weather, not terrible.
Well, yeah, exactly. I know.
Moneymaker.
So excited when you do your shows. Like it's awesome to watch you actually report on this stuff. If you haven't followed Mark, highly recommend you do. Mark Robinson on Twitter. He is so much fun to watch, and you bring it to life, dude. And I'm really happy that you do, because weather traditionally incredibly boring.
Not the kind that I look for. Yeah, no, it's pretty much the opposite. Yeah, no, I've been chasing storms since 2001. I got my very first tornado actually just outside of Guelph, of all places. Southern Ontario actually sees a lot of tornadoes. And that's sort of where it began. And I've been chasing, everything. Started off with tornadoes, then went to hurricanes, then went to winter storms. And I may regret the winter storms part of it, but the rest of it can be kind of a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, it's exciting, right? Like anytime someone, like when I see in your Twitter bio, it's like storm chaser. I'm like, that's badass. Because I run away from them. We all do. Like when I see a storm coming, I'm like, okay, guys in the house, let's just relax. But you get jacked up for this stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, hey, as a kid, I was terrified. I used to hide under my bed from storms. Like it was literally be me hiding under my bed, freaking out that there was a storm coming. And I think that what scares you as a kid fascinates you as an adult. And I just sort of started chasing when I found out that you can actually chase tornadoes in Southern Ontario. And then I went for way too much school to do what I do. So I've spent, just a lot of years learning a lot of math. I've got my first degree was in wildlife biology. My second degree is in atmospheric science. And now I run around like a high functioning idiot saying, look at the wind.
Dude, you're playing yourself down. You've got a couple of degrees. Like, okay, so we're gonna get to the storm in just a second, because it was mayhem. For suburbanites like me that aren't hardened weather cats like you. And I'll get to that in a minute. But so you were scared of violent weather as a kid?
Oh,
And
yeah.
then when did that change? Because at some point you're like, I love this shit so much, I'm going to go to school for 20 years to study it.
Yeah,
Well,
was
you
this like
know-
a face your demons kind of
Yeah.
thing?
I don't know actually. Like, I remember because I grew up in Etobicoke, and so I remember like hiding like like under my bed in Etobicoke with, like, the thunder and the lightning was happening. And then there was one year we went to the Toronto Zoo, and we were actually watching. I remember this very distinctly because we were watching the polar bears. And we saw the storm start coming, and my dad and mom like start running, me and my baby brothers like running across to get to the Americas Pavilion. And the Americas Pavilion is sort of underground, so you're totally safe from the storm. And Dad goes and pops open the back door to the pavilion. He wasn't supposed to, but he did it anyway. And we literally watched this whole storm go by, and it went on to produce a tornado in southern Ontario. And I was like, oh, that's really, really cool. And from there, I just started getting more and more fascinated by it. And I started watching all the shows. And then the movie Twister came out, and I was like, oh my God, you can actually chase this stuff. And then I found out you can actually do it in southern Ontario, that we actually get tornadoes in southern Ontario. And that was it. I was working at the University of Guelph at the time. And I was like, I'm going to go do something stupid. And I jumped in my car and followed this storm out. I don't even know where it was. But I followed it, and it was like, that was the coolest thing I've ever had happen. And then like 2 weeks later, I caught my first tornado just outside of the of Guelph, and it went through Campbellville, and I was just like, this is the coolest thing I've ever done, and ended up going back to school for it. And yeah, it's just sort of gone from there. I ended up turning it into a career. At first, it was just a hobby, and now I do it as a career. I literally go, and I've been through 25 hurricanes now.
Holy,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, listen, nobody chooses that career.
Did you have like posters of Helen Hunt on your wall from Twister?
Your big
or-
No.
Does the belt attached to a metal rod actually work in a hurricane? Is that true?
No, you'll be stripped to your bones in about 30 seconds. So yeah, that doesn't work at all in a tornado. Trust me. I've literally been chased down the road by the world's largest tornado. 4.5 kilometers wide. Wind speeds were 475 kilometers an hour. And it's a well-known one. It's actually called the El Reno tornado. If you Google, it's there. And sadly, it killed 3 of my colleagues. They weren't close friends, but they're Tim Samaras and his two chase partners were actually caught by that tornado. We went south, he went east, and it caught him, and we just got out of the way. That was a scary day. I mean, I sort of joke about it a little bit now, but it was at the time quite scary because we started out and we started flying south. Like, we were, myself and my chase partner Jacqueline Whittle, were looking to the east or to the west, and all you could see was this gray wall underneath this gigantic supercell thunderstorm. And yeah, like almost like that shot right there. But that entire gray wall underneath that, we were like, where's the tornado? Where's the tornado? And this power flash happened, and we saw this little funnel off to the right side of the gray wall, and then another power flash, and there's a little funnel off to the left side. And then suddenly I look at Jack, and Jack looks at me, and we both went, holy, that whole thing is the tornado. And it was like, get in the car. And we tore off south, and it crossed the road right behind us. And I know a few other my chaser friends were actually caught by it. I mean, it was a bad day. Yeah, that's it. We were, and actually, if you look on that, see if they literally where the 81, you can see the little 81 on there. That's where we were, and we drove south through the whole bloody thing, and we were just south of that damage path where it was, and that was the scare. So imagine we're looking off to the east or to the west, and we saw it coming towards us, and we said we need to get out of the way. And not only did it start to expand, it started to accelerate its forward motion. So it was moving about 10, 15 kilometers an hour, and all of a sudden it went to 60 kilometers an hour straight at us. I mean, it was a day. It was a day.
Where
That's
was
wild.
that? That was in the United States somewhere, correct?
Yeah, it was Oklahoma, just outside of Oklahoma City, just to the west of Oklahoma City. Yeah, that was crazy because we lost power, we lost communication with our chaser friends. We can actually tell where everybody is on a certain radar app that we have. And so we're looking at it, and one of our friends, you can see him sort of go, and then we can sort of watch the tornado on radar go, and it literally crosses him, and then his dot stops moving. And we're just like, we're calling him saying, Dan, are you okay? Are you okay? Couldn't get a hold of him. And all we knew is like that the tornado had crossed right over top of where he was. He was okay. He got hit by an 18-wheeler, but yeah, I mean, he was okay.
Jesus. Like, and that's, I think, it's funny because, like, you're describing something again that most human beings fear, and you're driving into it trying to figure out. And you got a group of guys that are also equally adventurously minded as you. But that experience in itself, like, can you kind of describe what it's like? You've been in a tornado, because like we and we've seen and heard videos of hurricanes, but for most people that go through that experience, it's PTSD maybe for life, right? Like, what is that experience like? Is it scary still, even though you love chasing it?
Oh yeah. I mean, the thing that I think that hits you is you get kind of calm about it, because you have to be calm, because like the way I love to say it is, you go to Canada's Wonderland, you jump on the Dragonfire, you know how the ride's going to end. I mean, as long as the ride is running, you're going to know how it's going to end. And with a tornado, you don't know how that's going to end. You don't know how the ride's going to end. And so you have to sort of be really calm and make decisions. And you have to make decisions very, very quick sometimes. And quite often, you're watching, you're sort of saying, okay, I need to go from here to here. And I need to, at the same time film, or if I'm, doing stuff for the Weather Network, especially in Canada, I'm trying to get that information back to TWN, so that information can then get out to our viewers, to get out to the people that are, say, in the path of the thunderstorm. So you don't really feel anything other than like, wow, this is really neat, until afterwards. And then you're like, what the hell did I just do? And I do that, a few times, like, jumping into the volcanoes I've jumped into. I afterwards go, wow, that was really dumb.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
I've jumped into four volcanoes, active volcanoes.
Why not? I mean,
as one does.
Yeah, as on a Friday night, Saturday afternoon, what are you doing? Fly zone? No, I'm not interested. Pool? No, not so much. Let's jump into an active volcano. Sure. Yeah. How does this go over with your spouse? Is she a big fan of your job?
She just gets a kick out of it. She goes chasing with me. She was chasing with me a lot. Once we had our little one, though, it became a little more difficult for her. So, but both my little ones have gone storm chasing within 2 weeks of being born. So, yeah,
it's a family event.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That assery right from the start. And you know what's amazing about it too is that, like, I imagine a guy like you growing up in high school, like paying extra attention to, like, what were you like in high school? Did you pay extra attention to weather cells? Were you
no, I was a geek. I was the guy that played Dungeons and Dragons and played with Warhammer miniatures. And that would, go looking for girlfriends desperately. So, I was that kid. And then afterwards I sort of got into adventuring. So I've actually been since I had my TV show, we did shows in Antarctica. I've been through most of the Northwest Passage. There's one little section of the Northwest Passage I haven't been to. I've been hunting seals with the Inuit up at Pond Inlet. I've been, as I said, I've been inside of at least 3 volcanoes. 2 were in a war zone in Africa. One was in Vanuatu in the South Pacific. And then I had to dodge lava bombs in another island in Vanuatu. Where else have I been? I dangled my buddy George Karunas over a boiling lake in Dominica. What else?
Good friend.
He's got a smile on his face
friend.
as he tells you to.
Oh no, I've set him on fire. He set me on fire. There's been stuff like that. He buried me in an avalanche. I've done avalanche control with the guys in BC. So we had to, what it was like to be inside an avalanche. We had to dodge an avalanche while we were in BC, the 2 of us. So we've done that. What else?
How does one dodge an avalanche effectively? Is it just listen?
You drive really fast.
It's like an educated version of Jackass.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
That's what I'm getting is like you guys are like, did you know you were a thrill seeker growing up? Because you said like you a Dungeons and Dragons guy, you were that kid. By the way, I was a big Dungeons and Dragons guy too. So let's smash the myth about that kid being a Dungeons because I loved it. Until my religious parents took away all my modules and I was
no, see my parents weren't like that. My parents just shook their head and just like, okay, whatever. But I mean I still to this day play Warhammer. So you can actually, there's my Warhammer miniatures right there. So
really? That's awesome.
Oh,
it's like dude, you've just prolonged your childhood.
Oh, that's a good way.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Like with your job and your hobbies, it's fucking awesome. I love, and it's funny because like this comes out in your content, which is why I really wanted to talk to you. Because it's like, you see weathermen on TV and they got the tie and they got the little clicker and they're pointing over here. And it's like, I can't see you do that because every video you put out, the wind is lashing your face and you're in the middle of a highway that someone said, don't go here. And you're like, okay, that's where I'm going. And you're like, this is the best day of my life.
Yeah.
The best.
Well, you know what? All those meteorologists you see, I've met them all in Tornado Alley. So all of them do the same thing I do. I just got lucky in the fact that like I said no to the studio stuff. I said no, stick me out in the storm, and I'll do stupid things and show people what not to do. So I've got a saying like, don't do what Mark does.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Do the people at the Weather Network look at you when they're doing assignments and they're like, okay, we know who's doing all the outdoor work, and everybody's like, thank you, Mark. Thank you.
I get. Who wants to do something stupid? Where's Mark?
I always think that the anchors back at the desk are all like, how long can we make him stay out in this?
Oh, and there's a big component of that.
Yeah.
And they all giggle because it's like so like on a sunny day though, it's awesome. Like I'm out in the sun in the middle of the summer, it's great. And then they all laugh. Like last night, they're like, yeah, Mark, stand outside for a minute. And they're like, we're nice and warm in here. And I'm like,
yeah. Okay,
there's
so
a lot of that.
let me, because we've had a couple of bangers in Southern Ontario, and I know you're in Southern Ontario as well. Mark Robinson joins us, Storm Chaser, reporter for the Weather Network. All around good guy. He's basically a scientist that gets to chase dangerous shit for a living. But take me through what happened yesterday, because we had a couple of bangers. Yesterday was very different here in the city of Toronto, Greater Toronto area. What was it? Does what we saw have a name? Because it came up on us, and it fisted the entire GTA, which was brought to a standstill last night.
The meteorological term for it is yuck. So that's this is something we call a Texas low. On Southern Ontario is actually on the storm path for a number of different storms. So you'll often hear us, we're on the Weather Network, we'll talk about an Alberta low, an Alberta clipper. We'll talk about a Colorado low. We'll talk about Texas low. We'll talk about nor'easters. So we get all these different storm systems, but each storm system has a different sort of quality to it. Each one is unique. So every storm is unique. So I can't say just because we're getting a Texas low, it's going to be exactly this. But we can sort of give some general ideas. So this one, the Texas lows, tend to tap into the moisture coming off of the Gulf of Mexico in a really big way. That's really where we get our moisture. It's coming all the way up from the Gulf of Mexico.
Really?
So Texas lows, those hot, humid, hazy days we get in the summertime? Yeah. That's because of Texas. Like that's the Gulf of Mexico.
I thought it was Buffalo. I swear to God, it was all coming from Buffalo, and I find out it's coming from Texas.
Something very different comes from Buffalo. But because I have people I know in Buffalo, I won't say what it.
Yeah.
So what happens is we get these lows, and so they always spin counterclockwise in the northern hemisphere. So if you've got the Gulf of Mexico way down to the south, all that warm moisture begins to feed up towards us because that low is sort of pulling that moisture up towards us. We get the cold air wrapping around from Winnipeg and parts north, and basically mix those two together. And if the center of the low pressure system goes just south of Lake Erie, we get absolutely slammed with snow. And that's basically what happened last night. But the most amazing thing with last night was the amount of lightning. I have not seen that much lightning in a storm that's gone through Southern Ontario, I think, ever. That was
what causes that?
Thundersnow. I'm gonna play a video for you because Mark,
Yeah.
you put this out. This is a local TPS officer doing a report in the middle of last night's storm, Friday
Yep.
night's storm, when the Thundersnow started to happen. And you remember the guy from the Weather Channel down in the States that like basically had
Jim
seizures?
Cantori.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, Jim Cantori. He's like,
I have
this is incredible.
Yeah, I had something similar to that when I was in Buffalo about 2 months ago.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah, you did because they got. And I'll never forget it because you were so excited by the whole thing. You're like, "This is incredible," and I'm like, "It is," and it's also scary. But let's see Thundersnow in action. This is from Friday night. You put this on your Twitter feed at Mark Robinson.
The tires of vehicles that they're driving. So, Thundersnow. Oh, that's Thundersnow. He steps out in front of you. The car loses control ahead of you. Then you're gonna.
I mean, seriously,
That's wild.
right?
Yeah.
Like seriously, and when the snow's coming down, if you've lived in this beautiful country for an extended period of time, as someone that has zero meteorological experience whatsoever, when the snow's coming down, you're like, it's sort of a mind melter, right? Like you're like,
Yeah.
why are we having lightning and thunder at the moment?
Well,
So to Ryan's point, why? That's a great question.
Well, you know what? It's basically the same way we get thunderstorms in July and August, and I'm hoping April, but we'll see. Basically, you've got very rapidly very rapid upwards motion of air, and you essentially get ice crystals beginning to sort of form within the storm, and quite literally the ice crystals rub against each other, and it's just like rubbing your feet on the carpet and touching your brother in my case, and laughing at them because you shock them. It's the same sort of thing, except that in a storm system, those little shocks are much larger. So you get that little separation of charges within the storm, and you'll get basically that's what lightning is. It's just basically balancing those charges. And when you have a vigorous enough storm like we did last night, you can have it in wintertime. Now, what's really cool is we've found that in the last few events, we've actually had a correlation between thundersnow and the lightning and wind turbines. It's just at the very initial stages. We're just asking the question at this point, but we'll probably do a bit of research into it to see if wind turbines actually induce lightning, and it looks like that may be happening. I mean, it's just anecdotal at this point. We do have to do some research on it, but yeah, we may be seeing more and more thundersnow because of the wind turbines, which is really neat.
Man-made objects are causing. Wait a second. Now we're getting into climate change.
Yeah, I was
Hang
going to
on.
say, here comes the conspiracy corner.
Man, yeah. Hey, heads up with the old conspiracy theories. We know how much people love those. So we've plowed. Oh yeah, I can't wait to get into that subject with you. Conspiracy theories about the weather. So we've plowed millions of wind turbines in and around southern Ontario, and there's anecdotal evidence that might suggest that is causing more electricity in the air. Is that what you're saying? Which was just leading, or what's the reasoning?
More likely, we've got very tall objects that are in the path of snow squalls, and you get that snow squalls. Another one we often find a lot of thundersnow with snow squalls because you get so much rapid upwards motion that you're basically creating thunderstorms. But if you haven't got a lot of tall objects that are say moving, then you're not going to have lightning. But because we've got wind turbines in areas that we actually have snow squalls, we're just getting some cool thundersnow. It doesn't do anything. It's it's really cool, and it's really great because now I know I'll just go over there and film the lightning. But yeah, it's just, as I said, it's just anecdotal at this point, but it doesn't, there's no effect. It has no effect on the wind turbines whatsoever. In fact, it's really cool because you get to film them. And I've seen some ones filmed in down in Oklahoma, and it's really neat the way you get the lightning actually bouncing off the different turbine blades. So that's neat. But that's just part of it. So for me, it's really cool because now I know I'm going to go I've been trying so hard to get a lightning, shot on a wind turbine. I've seen it hit the CN Tower, but now I'm going for the wind turbines.
Oh, that's next on the list of things that you have to take a picture of that scare the shit out of most mortals. That's awesome.
I want to stand I want to stand on top of the wind turbine and actually get see the lightning happen there. So that's that'd be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, you're gonna have to do it without me, but congratulations. Yeah.
Oh, Dean, I'll take his chasing if you want in the summer. Come with me, and
I would come for sure, just because you would get the greatest reaction video of all time.
Yeah.
Like, you really would. It would be, because I'm soft. I'm not like, listen, I'm not going to sit here and go, wow, I would love to be a storm chaser. Like, I legitimately drove through Gehenna last night trying to get my son home from his job at like 10 o'clock and had to dig like 3 people out on the 404 that couldn't like merge. And that was another thing. But I don't want to get to that. This isn't about me. I want to get to you and this incredible job that you have. Mark Robinson's our guest, storm chaser, reporter for the Weather Network, joins us after this massive storm, and we're talking about weather, and we're talking about extreme weather. Climate change conspiracy theories. First of all, out of left field, does China have the ability to change the weather?
No.
With machines and shit. Okay, so that's all farce, correct?
That's all. Yeah, no, it's not. I mean, having said that, I'm gonna say no with a giant qualification, because there's always, it's never meteorology is never one of these simple things where it's like yes or no kind of situation. What we've really got is that you can have some small effect on weather because you can do cloud seeding. You're basically using silver iodide. Essentially, all that it does is create little what we call nucleation particles. Water can't fall, rain can't fall unless you have a little bit of dust in the atmosphere, and you need a little touch of dust to get the water vapor beginning to condense on the basically on the little particles. And once that starts to condense, you'll get like little tiny water droplets, and that's all you're doing with silver iodide. You're seeding the clouds, trying to get them to do a little bit of rain. So you get some minor changes, but on a large scale, it's literally like spitting into a river. We can affect that. We can affect the atmosphere by dumping tremendous amounts of carbon dioxide in there over a long period of time, and that's absolutely what's happening. But if you're just, I get the HARP thing all the time, I get chemtrails, I get all that sort of stuff, drives me absolutely nuts, because we just can't do it. I mean, when we talk about meteorology, it's really a look at the energy flows through the Earth system, and those energy flows are mind-bogglingly large. We just don't have the ability to affect those energy flows by any, almost no way. But again, if we throw a ton of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, we will have an effect. What those effects are, that's still being studied, but I've seen them. I've been all over the world. I've seen issues in the high Arctic. I've seen it in Antarctica. I've been to Mount Everest. I've seen the removal of the glaciers in there. I've been to Greenland and I've been standing on the Greenland ice cap, watching parts of it melt. Glaciers that were once down on touching the water are now way back up in the mountains. I mean, it's definitely happening, but on a small scale, like HARP and all that sort of stuff, no. I mean,
they're too busy using it for mind control, so
they're
not bothering with the weather, right?
There's that, yeah.
I'm 100% controlled by them. By the way, ever since I got the shot, I'm like 100.
Yeah.
I've noticed
controllable.
My cell phone, I do so much better now that I got the, I've had a few shots. So
we never had 5G in Bimbrook before COVID. So
no one looks at the positives, do they? Nobody looks at the positives. Okay, so the conspiracy world, which fascinates me, and I wanted to talk to you about this too, Mark.
Yep.
The climate change I know is real.
Yeah.
And because I like to read, and I trust trusted sources like you, and getting these explanations from people like you goes so far to settling everybody down. So I appreciate it.
Yeah. I mean, but having said that, I've actually been told, you're a part of the cabal. I'm still waiting for my check.
Yeah.
Oh, are you a government employee too?
Oh no, I'm not government. I'm just part of the cabal somehow.
Oh yeah, the cabal of government employees that are all getting money, and we haven't seen it yet. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I've received hundreds of non-existent paychecks from the Liberal government over the past.
I think it's in Bitcoin. That might be the problem, maybe.
I think so. Yeah. We should have used give, send, go for the cabal. That's what we should have done. But let me ask you something about climate change, because it is, depending on who you ask, it's fear porn and it's a religion, right? If you ask Jordan Peterson.
Oh God.
But what do you make of both sides? It's like you're a scientist, you're a biological scientist. You got a couple of degrees. You got a degree in atmospheric science. Like
Yeah.
it's as you're as educated as they come in your space. But how do you break down climate change? Let's say you've got two idiots in a room that are both arguing about something they don't know about, and one idiot is for climate change, the other is anti-climate change. They think this guy thinks it's happening, this guy thinks it doesn't.
It usually depends on sort of the argument. So the one I often see is like, and this drives me absolutely crazy, is when media says, "Oh, this tornado was caused by climate change," or this, let's say the snowstorm was caused by climate change.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a big one. That's going around Twitter, by the way. They're all like the climate, because there are climate change crazies, right?
Yeah,
that want you to use paper cars and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the issue that I run into with that is that it's really bad evidence. It's bad evidence for it because you can't use one-off events. The way I like to think about it is, if we go back to Dungeons and Dragons here, all the different dice. Yeah, if you take say 2 dice and 2 6-sided dice and you roll them, you can actually get a bit of an average. Your average is around 7, and that's you generally you get a lot of 7s. When you talk about climate change, you're going to be rolling those dice same way, except now you're rolling loaded dice. So rather than getting a lot of 7s, you're going to get more 8s. You're still going to get those 7s. You're still going to get a 12. You're still going to get a 2, but you might just see those 12s a little more often. You might see those 9s a little more often. You're still going to get those events, but you have to look over many, 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 many times of rolling those dice. And that's literally what we're seeing. We're starting to see evidence for Tornado Alley itself beginning to shift north and east. We're starting to see hurricanes maybe just a little bit more powerful than they used to. We're not seeing a change in the numbers, but we're seeing a change on where they are, where they're hitting. Maybe a bit of a change towards the north. We're seeing stronger hurricanes, say, in Nova Scotia. That's the sort of thing that we're dealing with. And I have to admit, tornadoes and hurricanes, they're the sexy side of climate change.
Yeah, they're really hot. Yeah.
Yeah,
really
yeah. I mean, for me, okay, I won't tell you how my wife dresses up at night.
Wow, must be fun at parties.
Yeah, does she put on like one of those, just a suit that looks like a tornado?
I'm not allowed to say. I'm not allowed to
put
say.
on like a hurricane suit, and you like, we got a Texas low front coming in tonight, sweetheart.
I'm gonna leave it right there because I got a whole bunch of one-liners.
Then I will too.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, so the ones that really tell us are the droughts and the heat, heat waves. Those are the ones that we're seeing a lot of evidence coming from there. So we're seeing droughts extending, we're seeing heat waves extending and stronger. And those, of course, those are the big ones. Those are the big killers as well. The other thing we're seeing is a shift in where the precipitation is occurring. So if we look over sort of West Texas, we're seeing that area beginning to dry up. Southern Ontario is actually we're sort of doing a lot of work on that. We want the storms to happen at a fairly regular basis in Southern Ontario because I like eating every day. I try to do it 3 times a day, 2 times if I'm trying to lose a little weight. But the issue that we're seeing is that we're getting the same number of thunderstorms, but rather than say 1 a day that happens, on average, it gives us real nice, agricultural water. Or like getting basically I'm trying to figure out the best way to say this. We're getting water every day, so we don't have to worry about irrigation. Mm-hmm. Now what we're seeing is the same number of thunderstorms in July, but instead of getting 1 a day, we're getting 5 on one day, nothing for a week, and then 5 on another day. And we're losing most of that water. Most of that water is off and into Lake Ontario. And so you end up with the farmers having a real problem. Mm-hmm. And that's really the biggest issue, is the fact that farmers aren't getting the precip when they need it, or they're getting too much at the wrong time and they can't pull the crops off the fields. So, we live in the cities and we're like, oh, it sucks that we're getting thunderstorms, but we're seeing our our food prices just going up and up and up. And that's not only is it Galen Weston, wanting a new yacht, it's also the fact that we're having, farming is getting more expensive because we're having trouble, getting the water when we need it.
We were down in Niagara, and
interesting. I wouldn't even have thought of that angle, but I appreciate that explanation. Sorry, Linz, I didn't mean
no,
to
it's okay. We were in Niagara, and we were talking to some of the grape growers there, and they were saying that they were about to have one of the worst years on record in the last century for grape growing because of the way the climate has changed and the way that, like you say, they lose that water.
Yeah.
Because the ground is so dry that it just becomes like cement, and it's like the water just kind of rolls off the cement. And we keep hearing the term 100-year storm. This is a 100-year storm, and we're hearing that term every year now. So this isn't 100 years. This is an every year storm now, right? So I totally get what you're saying.
And that again, it's great for me. I mean, I like that to see these really cool storms all the time. Yeah. I mean, but it really sucks for people like farmers and people that are trying to deal with, like even the urban infrastructure, are getting hit by, storms that just all the time. So we're having to sort of change the way we do things, but that gets really expensive. So your taxes go up. I mean, climate change is insidious. I mean, and I think that's the scariest part of it, is how insidious it actually is. And we don't really see it. And I get to go out there and go, look at this really cool, hurricane. And I can sometimes use that a little bit to say, hey, this kind of stuff, this is really scary. This is the kind of stuff you're seeing. But again, it's that my price for bread is going up, so now I have to buy the Wonder Bread instead of the stuff from Panera, Cobb's bread. So
what's the difference? Like, what would you say is natural climate change as opposed to the man-made or the man-induced climate change? Because climate does have a shift, right?
Oh
it naturally has a progression. What would you say would be like the balance between us doing it and just the world being the world?
Yeah, who's to blame?
We are. I mean, there's no question in my mind. Absolutely none. Just given how much CO2 we're pumping into the atmosphere from fossil sources. That's the big problem. If we were just burning wood, it wouldn't change the amount of carbon in the atmosphere whatsoever. But we're digging up carbon that's been sort of sequestered down inside the atmosphere, and or down inside the earth, and pumping it up into the atmosphere. So therefore, we're going to see a change. You just can't dump that much carbon dioxide into the atmosphere and not have a change. Having said that, I love oil. I mean, it is fantastic stuff. We have done amazing things with it. We have to now sort of look at it and say, okay, we've done amazing stuff with it. Now we need to sort of take a look at it and understand that, yes, we're changing things. We have to figure out what to do with it. We have to figure out how to adapt to it. At the same time, we have to figure out how to use less of it, because not only are we changing the atmosphere, we're going to run out of this stuff. I mean, there's no question. It's going to get too expensive to use. But the one thing that we've done with this is it's the speed. It's the speed at which we've changing the atmosphere. We do have climate change naturally, but that happens over tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years. And we can slowly adapt to that, no problem. Us digging up the fossil fuel and using it is like a meteorite strike over a geological time period. It's absolutely going to change the atmosphere. The Earth, it's not going to have any problem with it. The animals, the life on Earth, not a problem. They're going to adapt to it. A bunch of them are going to die out. Other ones will adapt to it. No problem. Over about 100,000 years. My big issue is that I like civilization. I like being able to chase storms and it being okay. The biggest problem that we're going to have is what affects us, what affects our civilization. And that's the thing that scares me more than anything, is because once we start to make the climate really very variable, we run into real problems.
Yeah, because it's not something we plan for. Like we civilization is a result of living according to everything around them, right? And then you change that fast, we all panic. We see it all the time. I see it every time the snow falls in like November, December. Everybody's like, "Oh my God, I forgot about this." Like we got to get our driving minds on, like winter driving minds. What scares you the most about climate change? Because and have you done projections Like,
I mean, I'm not a climatologist. I mean, but I mean, I can look at some of the journals and I can read some of the stuff. I've done climatology courses and
yeah,
a
we
lot
can't
of
read the peer-reviewed stuff, so I'm asking you to
yeah.
popularize it for us.
Yeah,
idiots.
yeah, no, I know. That's basically my job is take the partial differential equations and then say it's going to snow tomorrow. Yeah,
Thank you. That's what I'm asking you.
that's
Appreciate
basically
that.
what I do. I mean, the big thing that scares me again is the farmers. I mean, it's the food, it's our food supply, it's you know, the refugee crisis that we get, it's the political stuff. I mean, that's what scares me more than anything. I mean,
From
for
a
me,
climate perspective.
yeah, oh yeah, big time. I mean, there's some argument that you could even say the Syrian civil war was caused or at least exacerbated by climate change because we saw a lot of the farming areas drying up. So you saw a lot of people moving from areas that were once very fertile to other areas, and you just get political problems in the midst of that. The same time, you've got, like when I was in Vanuatu, I actually interviewed a bunch of people, talked to a lot of people, and even when I was in PEI, they were actually literally having the same problem, and that's saltwater infiltration into their fields. You know, there's the whole thing with if the Romans got mad at you, they killed and slaughtered you, and then they salted your fields. And that was a really good way to absolutely make sure that nothing ever grew there again. We're seeing that in these small island nations, and of course, we have a small, you know, it's not a nation, it's a province, but we're starting to see infiltration, saltwater infiltration into places like PEI, and so we're starting to lose those farms. We're starting to lose that productive farmland, and so people move. But when you have mass migration, that causes political turmoil. You know, if you have massive amounts of people moving, say, away from the coast because you can't have, you know, you're losing coastlines, you know, that's going to cause political turmoil. I mean, you know, the States is everything in the States is very calm. There's no political problems there whatsoever. Nobody's mad at each other. And, you know, there's no movement of people, you know, into Florida or out of Florida, let's say, just as an example.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, these are the things that scare me more than anything. I mean, the stuff for me is great. I mean, I get to see some really cool storms all the time, and I get to be on air talking about this stuff. But you know, that's the thing. It's people that and what happens to people. And unfortunately, as with so many things, climate change affects the poor the most. You know, when we have areas that are hit, the poor are affected. The people that don't have, I mean, when I say poor, I also mean global poor. I don't mean, you know, the poor in and around, you know, Canada, the United States. I mean, we definitely have our issues, but I mean people that are living on $1 a day. And, you know, they get hit by a storm. Nobody's coming to rebuild. You know, it's like, oh, too bad. And unfortunately, you know, a lot of those areas that are being hit are being, you know, those are the people that are affected, you know, the worst.
That's fascinating, dude. So it's all interconnected, right? Like it all is. And I laugh at the alarmists sometimes, but I also laugh at the people that are like, you just got Trudeau derangement syndrome. That's
yeah. I mean,
sticking up for the environment.
And don't worry, this is all in the book I'm writing right now. So I'm working away on a book right now. So yeah.
Oh, good.
Oh, what about storm chasing or storm chasing and what you figured out in doing your time
in climate change? Yeah, it's actually it's on climate change. We'll see. I mean, it's gone to the publisher. They want me to change some stuff to see if they'll publish it or not. So we'll see if it actually gets published. But you know, right now my fingers are crossed very strongly. I'm just like, please.
Yeah, no, my fingers are crossed for you. Any pictures? Are you gonna? Because I love books with like every 3 pages there's a picture. You're gonna have lots of
big
pictures.
Printing too.
Yeah, I stopped reading those when I was about 5. So I'm going for a little longer, you know, a little longer format on that one.
Dude, I told you were talking to me today, right? Like I was just happy you fucking replied. Last night I'm like, hey man, do you want to? I know you're busy, but would you consider coming on your show? And you're like, absolutely, hell's yeah. And I'm like, oh my god, I said literally, holy shit, you replied.
Yeah, you're lucky. I was just finishing up digging out that 500 pounds of white crap out of my driveway. So
yeah,
you know,
that's the problem with long driveways, dude. Now I understand that you actually helped other people dig out of the kindness of your own heart over the past.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, we've got some elderly neighbors across the street, so it's like you're not going to be digging that out. So we've had a bit of a community effort here in Guelph and dug out all the driveways for everybody. So. Like this is why I'm wearing the tennis elbow thing right now because ow. So
You're a nice guy. Last night, so I'm stuck on the way home, and I'll let you go after this. But very different motivations, right? Like this is how you know Mark is a good person and I'm not. Okay, just putting it out there. Is that I merge back onto the 404, and if you were out last night, you know what I'm talking about. When you merge on or off a highway during a blizzard like that, most of the off ramps and on ramps are just covered with mounds of snow that you drive into and you can't go anywhere. And depending on the kind of tires you have and all that other stuff, okay. So I merged back onto the 404 from Wellington. I go pick up my son up at work, and he's petrified. He's like, "Are you okay to drive in this?" I'm like, "I grew up in Saskatchewan. It wasn't the worst I've ever seen, but it was top 3." And so we merge. There's people stopping stuck, right? Because they've driven into this snowbank and they can't go any further. And I got out of my, like, F this. I got out of my car and I started digging these people out and rocking their cars back and forth and and then the tow trucks came up. I helped them kind of figure everything out. And I get back in my car. And my son's like, "You're a good guy." And I'm like, "No, I'm not. I didn't do that for them. I want to fucking go home."
Well, you know what? This is why I carry a 2x6, about a 4-foot length of 2x6, and a shovel in my car, because I dug out 3 cars last night. On my way back Highway 6 back home. And then I dealt with today I was just trying to dig out for the elderly neighbors. Back in the Fort Erie storm, I dug out 8-9 cars for people, and you know what? It just get them out of there, and they can go off and get home, and I've got the tools. I might as well give a hand.
You're awesome. You're, again, way nicer than me. Listen, Mark, really appreciate you doing this. Thank you so much for the work you do. Thank you for being entertaining when you do it, because not many people are. Like, the weather is boring AF to some people, but you can follow Mark at Storm Hunter, TWN, Weather Network Storm Hunter, adventurer, meteorologist, father, husband. He has an odd life, and he chose to share it with us today, like right in the heat of this whole thing. So I can't thank you enough for your time. Truly do. And please follow this man. You're great, dude. I love you. I think you're awesome.
Oh, I appreciate that. I mean, I always think of myself as a high functioning idiot, and I'm lucky that I'm vaguely pretty, and they'll let me on air. So,
dude, you say high functioning idiot until you showed up here, and you're like, actually, now I know what a high functioning
I'm doing pretty
idiot
good,
is.
actually.
Yeah, because I just met 2 of them. Yeah. So you got a baseline for high functioning idiot now.
There we go.
Yeah. Thanks for doing this, Mark. Great to see you. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll chat with you soon. Hopefully you'll come back.
Yeah. Well, another 15 centimeters coming on Monday. So I actually have, TWN's been bugging me, so I gotta get back to work now.
I was gonna
go back to work.
Yeah, and every single time we have a major event, make sure you watch your DMs, because we'll be calling.
There you go.
Thanks, buddy.
Sounds
Great
good.
to meet
Thanks,
you.
Mark.
My pleasure. See you guys.
Mark Robinson.
Take care.
He is Storm Chaser at Storm Chaser TWN on Twitter. Please follow him. And I dude, like I said, he's my favorite weather follow. This guy is so good at what he does.
Yeah.
And he makes something which is so, in large portions of our visual society, banal. He actually makes me want to watch. And it's not just the storm chasing. It's like he explains stuff so you can understand it. And he clearly is a good citizen. Like, he likes digging people out of snowdrifts where I would just drive by. Like, I drove by 40 people in snowdrifts last night after I got the other cats going. And I'm like, he goes, "Dad, should we stop?" And I'm like, "No, we're not stopping."
No, they're not in our way. Yeah,
I couldn't believe it. Dude, it was unreal last night.
Yeah, I didn't. I went nowhere.
Did you go out?
No, Ashley and I stayed home. She stayed home from work today. She was supposed to work this morning, but the roads were just too bad, so she stayed home. But I woke up. I slept in because I had no idea that this had happened, and I woke up this morning and Ashley's not in bed, and what's going on? And I looked out the window, and there she is shoveling the driveway, and I said, "Just leave it alone. Let it happen." So about
She's
3
out there
quarters
shoveling the driveway, and you're in bed. That is such a boss move. I love it.
When she got through about 3/4, that's when I decided to pour the coffee and go out and stand on the porch and waved at her. "Hi, honey. Did you need a hand?" Meanwhile, I'd seen her just like when she first started. I just pretended I didn't see it. That's all.
That's a boss move. Listen, you have maybe one of the great wives in the history of wives, right? You guys have this really unique relationship. And if I didn't know you guys as well as I know you, I'd say that wouldn't have ended well for you after that. But she is such a fire starter. She's like, fuck this. I'm going to go out and shovel the dick off this driveway right now.
Yeah. When she's like a dog with a bone when it comes to certain things. And that's one of them. So I usually love, believe it or not, I do love shoveling.
I fucking hate it.
I love
There's
it.
no way you love it. There is no way you dig it.
I put my earphones in. I put a hat on so that everything kind of stays contained, and I just like either I'll listen to a podcast while I'm doing it. Like it just kind of helps me. I'm not a physical specimen. Just so you're aware, I'm not sure if you knew.
I think you look great.
So anytime that I do something like that, I get a rush of endorphins thinking that I am now a fitness guru because I'm doing such physical activity once or twice a month. That's going to keep me upright and retaining fluids for a bit. And
to that.
So
there's something to that because I'll tell you something. I'm halfway through my piddly driveway this morning, and I was angry because I got 3 young men that live here, and I'm like, their fucking guys are still in bed. Just angry at them.
Yeah.
Just because it's what dads do. You're like, I fucking shouldn't be doing this. I got 3 young men that live here. They could be doing this too. So I'm halfway through it. And I had to cook my own brain. And I'm like, this is good exercise, Dean.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came in and I'm like, you should tell people you worked out today.
Yeah. I had
it took me 9 minutes. I'm so soft. It's incredible.
Same. And that's why when I looked at, like, I actually felt winded looking at her shoveling that today. And I went,
and she had your coffee in your hand.
Yeah. I went out and, it was all about strategic timing, right? Like if I would have went out when she first started, I would have got roped into doing it or roped into helping at least. And so I waited until she got 3/4 of the way down the driveway. And that's when I went out and said, honey, do you need a hand? Oh no, I'm almost done. I'm almost done. Okay. All right. So I'm still the good guy. So good.
Yeah. Strategically. You're a strategically good human being.
That's right.
Oh, fucking wild, dude. I'm telling you, it was great to say. And here's the thing. 2 of the people I dug out on Friday night. And by the way, if you heed Mark's warning, we're getting another dumping tonight. 15 centimeters, kids. So prepare for it. But first person I start helping to try and dig out, hammered.
Shut up.
Hammered. Second couple, man and a woman, high as tits. And I'm like,
what was going on?
So it was like drink and drive or fucking substance abuse night on the roads too. And I'm like, and I said to the one woman who was clearly juiced, and I'm like, are you seriously driving in this wasted? And you know, the part of me is like, I don't want to be a killjoy. Like, I don't want to wreck the woman's buzz. But she was like parked sideways. She tried to merge in the middle of a fucking snowdrift. She didn't have the forethought to go around it because she was greased. And she falls, like I said, get out of the car. Give me your keys. And so I moved her to the side of the road instead of trying to keep going through a snowdrift she's never going to go through. And she falls down in the snow and starts crying. And I'm like, just get in the passenger seat. I'll warm up the car. Just stay here. Don't go anywhere. And then the people behind me, I go up to them too. And I'm like, you guys okay? Car just reeks like weed, which I love, by the way. Not a big, I never judge anyone.
You're not a prude, yeah.
No. And and they're both greased again. 2 of them, high as tits. And I'm like, you guys, and they had no tire treads on their car. Like it was just spinning. It was like a little shit box. And I'm like, you guys, this car shouldn't be on the road. And they're like, and the woman's like, yeah, but I'm freezing.
It's all about you, honey. It's so like I don't like driving
I
in
was
this
sober as a fucking judge.
Yeah.
Last night driving. I don't drink, so I'm never fucking. And I definitely don't smoke when I drive. It's like a thing I do before I go to bed so I can sleep.
Yeah.
But I'm never inebriated. Never have substances in my system. I had a shit in my pants driving in that, and I'm thinking, imagine the paranoia of how greased these 2 people are because they were high on way more than just pot. Imagine how greased that these 2 are. Imagine how stressful that was. The one guy's like shaking, and I'm like, oh,
no kidding.
Get out of the driver's seat, dude. And he's like, do you know how to drive standard? And I'm like, yeah, I do. Get out of the car.
Were they young or like older?
Yeah. That was like mid-20s.
It's the stupidity of youth, man. Like
the wasted chick was like 65.
Shut up.
Yeah, she's driving like an Oldsmobile. So wasted, lady. And I'm like, you can't. And anyway, I threw the keys to the tow truck driver, and I'm like, here, she's hammered. Those 2 are fucking high. And
that's crazy.
Like, yeah, it's wild. Anyway, the tow truck was like, thanks, bud.
I'll make a little lane for you so you and the rest of the cars can get out. And I'm like, I appreciate that. Thanks, dude.
Yeah.
That's what he did.
Yeah, they're good dudes like that. That's I just can't believe. Like, I couldn't imagine being in a state and driving in that. Like now as I'm older, because we all had idiot issues and moments when we were younger, and I look back on those and I get anxiety thinking about the state I was in a certain, like, say, situation where I was driving.
I get anxiety without it.
Yeah, I get anxiety thinking about it, and it's like I couldn't imagine being out in that last night and being wasted. Like, that's just stupidity. Wow.
Coming tonight too. So
yeah,
hide your kids, hide your wife.
Stay
a
home.
Whole bunch of pissed drunk fuckers up in this bitch.
Get drunk at home and stay there.
Stay there. That's the thing. If I didn't have to go out and that stuff, and I'm an idiot. Like, I really am. Like, I looked before I went out. I'm like, this is not going to be a lot of fun, but I got to get there because I got to pick up my son.
Yeah.
And there's no way, like, you can't just leave him like 40 minutes from home. And
yeah,
go,
of course.
Figure it out.
Call an Uber.
Yeah. Well, he almost did. Anyway, so it was one of those events that gives you pause for thought. I'm not a good person. I didn't dig anybody out because I was trying to be helpful. I was trying to help me.
Yeah.
And he's like, you should feel good about it. You helped those people. I'm like, I didn't help anybody, dude.
It was just a byproduct of my selfishness.
Dude, that's the only time I helped. Do you know how many stranded people I drove by after that?
Oh, yeah.
25, 30.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey. I'm like, no.
Hey, can you help? Not a
No,
chance.
Two broken legs. Sorry.
Yeah, no. If I stop this car, I'm not starting again because the momentum. I got to go through the snow.
Yep.
And then just in the middle of the highway, I'm like 2 minutes from home, driving through this, like, down the road, massive snowdrift, takes the spoiler right off my car. Boom, just rips it right off.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Probably caused like $3,000 in damage.
Oh,
that was the other thing that happened. And I'm fine. And this morning, I'm like, let's get Mark Robinson on to talk about how fucking gnarly that thing was.
No kidding. Yeah, I didn't know you damaged your own vehicle. That's yeah. Everybody stay home. Just stay home.
Yeah. Order groceries.
Yeah.
Have people bring you the coffee. Don't worry about it.
Yep.
You'll love it.
Yeah. Unreal.
Stay home. Anyway, thanks for doing this, dude. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me. I was glad to meet Mark. That was really fun.
How awesome is he?
He's so good. He's such a good. His delivery is fantastic. If you don't follow him on social media, you have to, because it's
Storm Chaser
cold.
TWN. Give him a follow. And Anthony Farnell from Global too. He's really good. He's entertaining. He's funny. They post good videos. Bring it to life.
For sure.
Oh, the suits, green screen. Today we're having 20 degrees over here. No, these guys are like, look at this fucking tornado.
Guy with the clicker.
Yeah. I love the clicker guy. I used to want to be a weatherman actually when I was a kid.
Did you really?
Yeah. Because I just thought you don't have to do anything. You just got to look at a map. You got to look at like some colors, and you got to go, it's going to be shitty today. And there's a promise that if you were wrong, nothing ever didn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
All they do is get the shit wrong. So I'm like, this is a perfect job for me. Lazy, not accurate, don't want to be educated. And then you talk to a guy like that, and you're like, he's got 18 degrees.
Yeah.
Super genius. And I'm like, oh, maybe I miscalculated what it took to become a meteorologist.
Yeah, no. You're the most hated person in the world, though. It's always your fault when the weather's bad, and it's never on you when it's good. So yeah.
I should have asked him who his favorite weather guy was, because mine's Al Roker. Well, it's him and then Al Roker.
Mine's Ollie, the guy from Family Guy, the guy that just yells.
Oh.
It gonna rain. That's my favorite guy. So
it's not a real weatherman, dude. It's a cartoon. Anyway, thanks for doing this, dude. Great to see you.
Good to see you too. Take care.
You bet. Ryan Lindley at Ryan Lindley. You can get him on Twitter anywhere you get your fine Twitter tweets. Twitter is usually where you get them. You can also get his podcast called The Linds Report. It's a good one anywhere you get your fine podcasts as well, Google, Apple, Spotify, etc. And want to thank our friends for making this possible, including and not limited to our friends at Cantork, Canada's assembly tool experts, making rugged, hardworking, beautiful torque wrenches, Canada's leading industrial experts, offering you the very best in sales, service, rental, calibration, and much, much more. What kind of more, you ask? Great question. Torque wrenches and fastening solutions that nobody can give you anywhere on this planet. Yes, they metal fabricate. They prefabricate. It's like fabricating torque wrenches for solutions in spaces
you can't even imagine. The steel, railroad, oil industries, hydraulic torque wrenches for jobs you cannot do, and you cannot find these tools, and they make them around the world. Heavy equipment, dude, these guys have your stuff. Hydraulic torque wrenches, they make it from scratch. An exceptional team, huge range of tools. They can do anything. They're solutions people. Make sure you get in touch with them today. Go to cantorque.com to learn more. Colin will get back to you immediately. He's the guy there, and he's my guy here. cantorque.com. Ed at Edge Fine Imports, his Gitch. We wear them, so can you. GITCH3. That is your promo code. We are sponsored by Gitch, Canadian underwear made by Canadian guys, manufactured, made, designed here in Canada, sold to Canadians. Pouch in the front, boxer briefs, luxurious. They go all around your stuff. Keep everything moving. Keep everything separate down there. You'll want that pouch. You'll need that pouch. It's a tree fort for your stuff. Make sure you get some Gitch. Order them from edsfineimports.com today. edsfineimports.com, promo code GITCH3. He'll send you a free pair of GITCH. Gitch. And last but not least, kivlaw.ca. Defense attorneys that fight for your right to get your life back. It doesn't matter what you did or didn't do. It doesn't matter what you did or didn't get accused of. Kivlaw defense lawyers are here for you. They've got a ton of areas of practice. You can speak to a lawyer now by going to kivlaw.ca, or what you can do is get in touch with Robert, the principal, Robert at kivlaw.ca. Rob Kivlikin is my friend, and he is one of Southern Ontario's finest criminal defense lawyers and a founding partner of Kivlaw, and he is standing by to help you through a jam. I don't trust anybody else, neither should you. Go to kivlaw.ca or Robert at kivlaw.ca today. Have a great Monday, everybody. See you tomorrow around 3 o'clock. 3 or 4. I don't know. We'll figure it out tomorrow. Either way, I appreciate that you were here. Thanks to Mark and Ryan for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.